Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified of each new video. Hey everybody, I'm JJ Johnson. You're watching Reality Survival, and today we're going to talk about tools. So, I guess before we get started, it might be important to define this. what tools are. Tools are a device or implement, especially one held in the hand, used to carry out a particular function. The reason I define this is because the other day on a prepper group that I have on Facebook called Prepper Skills, I posted a comment just saying, hey, what do you guys think some of the most common tools are that preppers should have? And my intention was to elicit a response that talked about tools. Actual tools, things that you can fix stuff with, and all that kind of thing. And that's not the response I got, and I was really kind of dumbfounded by it, because it showed me that people don't really think about tools very much. Maybe they just take them for granted. Maybe they have them and they think everybody's got them. Or maybe there has been a shift in thinking. And, it used to be that many years ago, a man would own a set of tools, and that was kind of like, it was his thing, He had lots of tools and toolboxes, and he could fix anything, and he could do anything. And I think with the new generation, there may be a shift in that kind of thinking. And so I thought, well, maybe it's good to talk about this. Several years ago in my blog, I wrote a blog that was called, Are Tools Worth More Than Gold? And I think you can make an argument that after an SHTF situation, tools will be worth more than gold. Because, well, for several reasons, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, so it was just kind of interesting to me that a lot of people put in there that that your brain is a tool, and your knowledge and the things that and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, all those things are important. Prepping is a three-sided endeavor. You've got knowledge, you've got experience, and you've got your equipment, and tools falls into that equipment category. And if you're lacking in any one of those things, you're at a deficit. Either way you look at it, you can't. They're all of equal value, in my opinion. And so some people did put some suggestions in on tools and all those kinds of things, but I was just really surprised at how many people didn't understand the question. And so that's fine. I mean, it's not a big deal. Maybe I should have worded it differently or whatever, but it seemed apparent to me. But it just got me thinking that maybe people just aren't thinking about tools in relation to prepping. And I think that tools are a hugely important part of your preps that shouldn't be overlooked. Now, I will say that you should get some of your basic stuff squared away first. And I have a playlist called Info for New Preppers, and several videos, such as what are the first 5 things that a prepper should buy, a new prepper should buy. And I think there's 5 or 6 videos in that series that talk about, if you're just getting started, these are probably some of the more important things you need to buy right up front. I'll link to those videos down in the description below. But after you get those things taken care of, and you get your food squared away and your water squared away, and those kinds of things, then tools is going to be pretty high on the list. It's definitely going to be up there quite a ways, because they give you the ability to do a lot. They give you the ability to fix things when stuff breaks, and especially in a grid down situation or a situation after a disaster, being able to fix stuff is going to be really important. You can build things, with tools. Creating things like some of the projects that you've seen me do out on the barn here in the homestead and whatever. There's then in after the shit hit the fan kind of situation, regardless of whatever may have caused it, at some point life is going to start to turn back to normal. And having a good, well-rounded set of tools could very well help you to earn a living, you know. So I think that they're important. And I just thought I'd throw them out there. And hopefully, I'm going to give you guys a list of some things here, of, you know, some tools that are kind of just basic stuff, you know, starting out. And I want you to understand, though, that this is really, it's not to be meant to be a complete list. It's meant to spur your thought and to say, hey, do I have some of these basic things? And if not, then you should look at probably getting those, you know, and learning how to use them and all those kinds of things. So it's really just about spurring thought, but I do have some things here that I can talk with you about. So the idea with these tools is not that it's for, you know, wilderness survival or bushcraft or, you know, whatever the case may be. Just to provide you some context, this is talking mostly about having tools around your house for everyday issues that come up. If you have some kind of a disaster, for instance, when I lived in Omaha, we had some kind of a microburst and some straight line winds come through and did about $25,000 worth of damage to our house, and our roof had some holes in it. You know, branches were driven through the roof and stuff, and so I was able to get up on the roof, take some plywood, you know, cover it over for the time being, take some tarps and screw them down, cover it over, you know, things over for, you know, the time being and stuff. And if I didn't have any tools, I wouldn't have been able to do that, and I would have had more extensive damage on the inside and, you know, all that kind of thing. So, you know, they're just valuable. And so that's kind of the idea with this here, is that we're just looking for a good, well-rounded set of tools that's going to enable you to do general mechanics work, you know, general carpentry, maybe a little electrical, you know, maybe a little plumbing, just those kinds of basic things that need done around the house. So we're not focused on bugging out and all that kind of thing. That tool set would be a little bit different, and I've done a video on that called, I think it was like top 10 tools for wilderness survival or something along those lines. So anyway, number one on the list here will be just an axe. This is a Hudson Bay axe, and I like it. That's what I've always kind of fancied, the Hudson Bay axe design. And it's a little dull right now. I got a big nick in it. I'm gonna have to sharpen that up. But an axe is a useful tool even around the house, especially when you have storms and things like that. You can, you know, chop limbs. If you've got trees that have been, you know, kind of disfigured and whatnot, you can clean them up with that. You know, you can just use it for a lot of things. And I don't have all of the tools here with me right here for this video, so I'll talk about a lot of them and throw in pictures and stuff like that. I have all of the tools on this list. They're just in my barn, and it's cold, and I don't really feel like getting them. And I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of this stuff on different videos that I've done, you know, in the past. So the next thing is a saw. Saw is fairly useful for lots of different things in carpentry and, you know, that kind of thing. A claw hammer. I think I've got one of those sitting in here. This box here is a box that I just got started because I have a ton of tools in the barn, and and all my toolboxes and stuff are up there, and then I have some tools in the little animal barn and in my solar cart, but I don't have any consolidated tools in my house, and so that's what this little box here was for. I just started putting it together. So it's got a ways to go yet before it's complete, but we'll get it put together here slowly but surely. All right, so the next thing is a square, and I think I've got one of those down in there. That's just a little speed square, but you can use whatever kind of square. Pry bar is another one. 2-pound sledge, a multimeter, And, you know, a multimeter is, you get one that's good for mechanics work as well as for 110 volt or 240 volt in the house, and you can, you know, just have one to use for multiple things. Wire strippers. I don't know if I got any wire strippers in here or not. No, I don't. A chisel, a hole saw set, a brace and bit or a cordless drill. I've got a cordless drill here. I like the Porter cable tools. They're 20 volt lithiums, and you know, they really work well. I use the crap out of them, and they seem to hold up pretty good. But you know, a brace and bit is a manual style drill, and you know, if you're worried about EMPs and knocking out electronics and those kinds of things, then a manual style drill is definitely something good to have for, you know, and a whole bit set and everything for after an SHTF kind of situation. Channel locks. I don't think I got. Oh, I got a little set of channel locks here. Just for the house. You know, little channel lock pliers. You got multiple sizes. I think that's the smallest, and then they go up to, you know, huge ones. Those are handy to have too for plumbing and that kind of thing. Pipe wrench. Pipe wrench is another thing that's good to have, and if you have one, you should have two, because usually when you're having to use one pipe wrench, you're gonna need another, or at least another big set of channel locks. All right, needle nose pliers. I think I've got a set of needle nose in this one. Where do they go? Just a little needle nose, you know, for grabbing stuff. Sometimes they're good for pulling splinters out and stuff too, if they're a good set of pliers. And screwdriver set. We've got a bunch of screwdrivers down inside here. And these are just some ones that I got for Christmas. I think the boys got them from Tractor Supply. Fencing pliers. And fencing pliers are good. You can also just do lineman's pliers, but like these. I like fencing pliers because you've got multiple functions on there, and you know, if you're setting up fence, working with fence, barbed wire, and all that kind of stuff, it's usually good to have. A wrench set, both standard and metric, you know, and then a regular socket set. And if you're just starting out, just go with like a 3/8 socket set. You really don't have to have a 1/2 inch necessarily, unless you want to do more vehicle work, or if you got a truck or something, then it's good to have a 1/2 inch set. And the 1/4 inch set, you know, is good for smaller stuff, little, you know, hobby kind of things and all that. But a good basic 3/8 set will get you through most things. The next one is an onboard diagnostics code reader. Now, this is not something that's going to be, you know, perhaps that valuable if there was an EMP or anything, because it's electronic, kind of like the multimeter, but super handy to have if the situation, if it wasn't some kind of an EMP or a coronal mass ejection or anything like that, you know, being able to diagnose issues with cars and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of handy. And just in everyday life, when your check engine light comes on, you can pop it in there, you can take a look, see what the issue is, and perhaps it's an easy fix, so maybe you can fix it yourself. Next one is a floor jack and jack stands to go along with those. Just for being able to get up underneath your car and, you know, do that kind of thing and work on it. Kind of going along the lines there is an oil drain pan and a funnel. And then I would add a battery charger to that list. Again, it's electronic, but if you have the ability to charge a battery, that's a pretty good thing. And then a level. We talked about that one, or I was showing that one earlier. Just some kind of a small little level. And then a chalk line. A chalk line is, I've got one in the barn. It's basically just so you can line out, you know, your markings on, like when you're cutting a piece of plywood or something like that. Those are super handy. And then I will add a plumb bob on there as well, so that you can, you know, for finding the spot directly below what you're working on up here. You kind of hang it up here, and it'll hang down, and it'll find the place that's directly below it. So that's just some basic stuff. There's literally hundreds of more tools that you probably could and probably should own, but hopefully this list will just act to spur thought about tools. I've also done another video talking about large tools like garden tools and shovels and all those kinds of bigger tools for using outside and stuff. Those are important to have as well. So anyway, I hope this gets you thinking. That's really the purpose of this video. It's not meant to be an instructional thing. It's just meant to hopefully be a little bit of a check and say, hey, do I have my tool situation squared away? So what did I forget? What would you guys add to this list as far as basic tools go and things like that? If you could put those down in the comments below, I would sure appreciate it. And I would love to know, do you think tools will be worth more than gold? I tend to think so. I really do. I tend to think that if there was a bad situation and we saw a collapse all around, or a collapse of government and services and businesses and all that kind of thing, and it got to a really kind of a bad level, having a good set of tools is going to be worth its weight in gold. So anyhow, guys, thanks for watching. As always, I definitely appreciate it when you click the thumbs up button, when you share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr, or Mix, or whatever. And don't forget to live the 6 Ps. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. Stay safe, guys.